For the month of December, I was able to pull in over $1,019 in realized trading profits. And in today's video, we're going to deep dive into this past month's trading results, what we traded, how we traded, and some of the biggest takeaways from these trades. All right, so right now we are inside of the TradeZella dashboard. I'm going to pop over to Surge Trader and refresh this. I do have 2 open positions remaining, but I did close out of a good amount of stuff, so I want to at least cover some of those and talk about that, why I closed out and all that stuff. But we finished the month 46% of the way there towards our target, so we're about $2,300 in gains so far, with a target of $5,000 for funding in this account. But this past month, we made over $1,000, and in this portfolio, or in this account, I should say, we are only pulling up the Surge Trader 50K account. I didn't really trade the Webull account. There's like 2 small caps in there that not even really bothering with. And then this is the demo when I was testing out the platform. So looking at the numbers as a whole, I'm actually very happy with this month. I'm very, very happy with this month. And this was a month that I have to say, the amount of time that I spent trading was probably the lowest in a long time, in at least a couple of months, if not maybe this year. And it's interesting how it was a solid month. Now, P&L wise, all to frame this, we are trading roughly the same size that I was trading, slowly up in the size, very, very slowly. I'm not in any rush by any means to do so. And so I am just going to trade the same way that I've been trading until I get funded or lose the account, which I'd have to lose a lot now to lose the account, but it's a possibility with the trailing drawdowns and how that stuff works. It's possible. So don't want to say that it's not possible. This month's trade expectancy was $77.80, meaning that on a given trade, I can expect to make 77 bucks. My profit factor was a 3.54. This number is really good. If I were to go back just to last month, you'll see a 1.52. Not great. This number is pretty solid for this month, and it's one of the better numbers that I've had. If you want to go back to some of the past trade recaps or past month recaps, this may be the best number we've seen this year, which is nice. Trade win percentage is not. This is what's really I'm super happy with, is that profit factor is one of the best I have seen this year, where the trade win percentage isn't the best I've seen in a given month. It's actually just north of a 50-50. I had 8 profitable trades, I had 1 break-even trade, and I had 7 losers for the entire month. So we only had 16 trades, so not a lot of trades. But they were taken on larger time frames, most of them. Some of them were on the short-term time frames, but not a lot. My average win-loss, 3.1. This number absolutely slaps. It's great. If I can have a 3.1 average win-loss with a 50% or better win rate, I will take that for the rest of my life. I don't care what you think about that win rate. If you don't think it's good enough, I don't give a shit if that win-loss is not as good as you want it, or you'll see some people on social media who have a 6-5. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. That is awesome for me. Maybe for someone else it's not, but these numbers I'm super happy with. And if I kept these numbers up, I mean, just do the math on, slowly scaling up over time, it becomes really profitable. And it's not that far-fetched to think that you could win 53% of the time. The game, and it really comes down to this. Now, the average win-loss, I will frame this here before we dive into the details and the data, because I'm actually really excited to get into this next piece. This is really good, but this is factored in, I think, 2 ways. It's A, having stops smaller than my targets. So my risk is always less than what I'm looking to target on a given trade. Kind of a given, and fair enough, makes sense. It's not that complicated, and it makes sense that, okay, yes, that would help you get towards a profitable strategy. Yeah, but there's the subjective and the discretionary side of trading that I've talked about recently, that I've recently come to embrace, if you will. I don't know if that's the best wording, but when I say that, I mean there's times like right now, as I'm going to show you, an example on Tesla, where I could stay in until it hits my stop loss, but I also could just get out, move on, take the small loss, and come back another day or look at a different setup at some point in the future. Because I'm not tied to an individual stock. I don't give a shit what Tesla does. I don't care. It could totally just immediately reverse and go nuts, and I would have made money. I don't care. The setup is not really valid anymore to me. It's taking too long. There's an opportunity cost to holding that position, okay? And that's a subjective and discretionary side, which again, you can't teach that as much as you have to experience that, and you get better at that over time. It kind of sucks that that's the case, but that's reality. So the example is Tesla. This last trade, so the last 2 days, we ended up making about $100. Yeah, about $100 almost on average. So I didn't do a trade recap the past 2 days because I just didn't feel like these were just partial profits and whatnot. I just didn't feel like it was worth it. So I figured I'd just put this into the full month recap. So this Tesla trade, I closed out a $41 loss here. Meta, I closed in a $99 win. This Tesla trade, though, it was a partial. I ended up netting a $28 loss total on the position. And here is essentially a chart. So Tesla, as we speak, just had 2 nice days of well, as I'm making this video, there's no guarantee it finishes here, but it's in the process of having 2 decent days of nice drawdown. We had a breakout of this consolidation, and this could certainly just be a back test. My stop loss was at 240. I'm getting out now because it is the last trading day of this year. I want a nice clean slate going into next year. And guess what? Tesla hasn't made a big move. It hasn't. It's been very choppy. It's been slow, and it's just taken up too much time. And so I feel as if I could probably find something better, or I could wait for something better that breaks out and goes and has momentum, or breaks down and goes and has momentum to the downside if that's where the market ends up going. I would rather wait for that than let this play out. And maybe it ends up bouncing and going like this, and maybe it ends up kind of coming back down and hitting my stop loss, and I'm like, oh, it was a good stop. I don't really care. It's irrelevant now. It's just taken too long. And that's, again, the subjective side, the discretionary side, that I have to make that call. I have to make that call, and I will happily make that call for a $28 loss if that means my win rate is closer to 50%, when I know on my winners I'm making $200, $300, $400. That is incredible risk reward, and so that's just the part of the game that you have to factor in. I could mess that up, and when I say I could mess it up, that would be something along the lines of it going past my stop loss, not stopping out, and saying I think it's going to recover, so I'm going to stay in. I will absolutely not do that. And if you ever catch me doing that, call me out. But I have done a very good job of not doing that and making that mistake. I will happily make the mistake by selling above my stop loss, losing less or making less than losing more than I originally intended on a given trade. So that's kind of like the framework to get to this number. And there's no guarantee that this number is going to stay there. I say I'm happy with the 1.5 or better. If that average win-loss number is a 1.5 or better, I'm happy with that number with a 50% win rate. That's fine. If these are the numbers, that's absolutely beautiful. It's not going to always be that case. You can go back to past months and see, for example, last month, 44% win rate, average win-loss 1.88. So it was good. It was good. It was a profitable month despite a 44% win rate. But you can kind of see where I'm coming from there. So that's that. Now let's get into the reports. So this is using TradeZella, and I have used TradeZella for over a year now, and I really like it. I really do. They're a platform that tracks all the data that you could certainly track yourself, but it would take a lot of time, energy, effort to do so. And so it makes my life way simpler. And so I pay for it. Because they do something that is actually helping me. And so when it comes to a tool, that's all I can ask for. Do you have to use this? Absolutely not. But I do. So here's some stats. I don't need to get too deep into these stats. There's a couple things that I'm interested in. We kind of covered some of the largest or loss, average win loss, those numbers. Largest profit trade was 321. Largest loss is 116. So that's great when you're seeing your profit. Your larger winners are much bigger than your larger losers. That's good. Was a problem in the past. Average hold time on winning trades was actually 12 days. That's kind of skewed because of some of the longer swings I had. Average hold time for losing trades, 3 days. So you can see that we're definitely swinging. We're definitely swinging more, which means bigger picture time frames, all that good stuff. So there's some more stuff here if you want to look deeper. Cool. I don't, not a big deal. Average planned R multiple is nearly a 3R. Average realized R multiple 0.32. These numbers are kind of wonky based off the recent moves that we've had. So it needs to kind of get averaged out over larger time frames when you only have a few numbers of a few trades. The one thing that I do want to pull up is trade time and trade duration. So when I'm taking the trades, you'll notice that these are, it's tough with swings. So it's not even as easy to tell. Trade duration is more so interesting. The trade duration that is longer seemingly is working better based off these shorter term trades. These are even day trades. These are intraday, by the way. These are intraday trade durations. So we have swings that are longer than that. Now, price not really worth it because I traded a whole bunch of different things with different price points. Volume not really worth it for what I'm trading because I've traded different things, whether it's the S&P, whether it's Tesla stock, whether it's gold. So I've kind of gone back and forth a lot. Here's where it gets more interesting. My top 10 symbols. So Meta was, I traded it twice. Microsoft, I traded twice. So I gold twice. I really didn't trade a lot of the same stock or the same vehicle too many times. It was pretty evenly distributed across. Meta was the biggest winner, nearly $400 in trades on Meta. Adobe, $321. S&P made about $225. NASDAQ, about $200. Microsoft, $100. And then we lost about $116 on gold, I believe. Bottom 20, we can see that Apple was my biggest loser, losing $215. And then the gold play. So Apple actually was I traded 3 times and just didn't work. Apple, I feel like I've always had that. It's been a recurring theme. I'm not great with Apple for whatever reason. So let's jump down to some of the more interesting things. Setups, mistakes, and other. Here's where I started to track some other or individual things. I played a total of 2 bear flags. I made $100. I played a total of 8 bull flags, and I made $546. And then I played a failed breakdown one time, and that failed breakdown made me $212. So I don't say a wide variety, and some setups weren't necessarily tracked if it didn't classify, or if I either forgot to track it, which is possible, or I try not to do that, or it didn't meet the criteria of bull, bear, or a failed breakdown, which there's very few. Do the math. This adds up close to that P&L for the month. So I think it's pretty close. Maybe I forgot to track 1 or 2 things. So overall, more bull flags than bear flags. Market's been going up. This is not super surprising. Mistakes. I didn't log any mistakes. There certainly have been if I got nitpicky, but I don't want to say that I made no mistakes. I could have done things better. But when I track mistakes, it's really things like not respecting a stop loss, not doing what I need to do for my strategy to work. And I really want to say that this month I just respected the strategy pretty straightforward. It wasn't like I did a ton of extra stuff. And this tends to come when I trade more. When I trade more often, there's going to be more mistakes. I didn't trade a lot, so not a lot of mistakes. Other, here we go. Here's where we get into some of the details. This is very surprising to me, okay? Maybe it's, and we need more data, so we're not there yet. I can actually go back to the past 2 months, and I'll do that in a second. But I took 4 trades based off the 1-day chart, meaning a breakout on the daily chart. I took 1 trade on the 1-hour chart. I took 2 trades on the weekly chart, 1 trade versus the 4-hour chart, and then I took 4 trades on the 5-minute chart. Funny enough, the 5-minute chart, I made $482. So I was actually pretty good with my 5-minute chart trades. The weekly chart made over $500. So the great news is that the big picture time frame's good, smallest time frame good, and then when you find that the red trades were actually on the daily chart. On those reds, we had 4 total trades in there. We actually lost on all of those trades. It's kind of interesting to think about. Okay. Not super clear though, because there's not a huge sample size. Let's go back. Let's look at this quarter. This quarter, I've tracked. Now, I didn't track back in October, but I tracked November. So the past 2 months, I've traded 21 trades on the 5-minute chart. Check this out. I didn't think this was going to be the case, but it's actually pretty crazy. On the 5-minute chart, I traded 21 times, and I made over $871 on the 5-minute chart, which actually happens to be my best P&L time frame. Win percentage wise, maybe not the case. Let's look down here at the bottom. So on the 5-minute chart, we actually had a 52.38% win percentage. However, my average risk reward was great. I made $1,400 in profits and I lost $574 over the past quarter. So just respecting or having good risk management there is really the key. Where I want to look for, what I want to look for now is more so win percentage. Okay. Win percentage was best on the 1-week chart, where we have a 100% win percentage, although only 2 trades, so not a huge sample size. We'll want to see how this plays out over time. This is like, if you are a nerd for data like me, oh man, this is awesome. Let's see where we had the most trades. So 2 system, that's not something I'm going to bother with. I stopped tracking it the past 2 months because I don't really bother with trading I don't track that way anymore. Okay, so 5-minute chart, yes, we covered that. The 4-hour chart, 4 trades, not bad. But we had a 75% win percentage on the 4-hour chart. Interesting. On the 30-minute chart, we took 9 trades. 30-minute chart is a chart that I'll still trade because I only have 9 trades, right? How we can't tell off 9 trades. You still can't tell for sure, but I haven't had good success. I haven't traded one of those charts, I believe, this month, but I have a 12.5% win rate. Pretty crappy, if you ask me, on the 30-minute chart. And I did take a lot of those. I took 9 trades on the 30-minute chart. So that tells me 30-minute chart, not worth for my strategy. 2 trades in the 1 week. Again, we talked about that. 1-hour chart, 3 trades, and then 9 trades on the daily chart. Check it out, guys. I'm actually not that good on the daily time frames, believe it or not. So I'll still trade them. Again, we only have 9 trades. Once we start getting up into 25 trades for all of these different time frames, then we can really dissect like what's working, what's not working. But now I think having this in the back of my head, it's going to make me think twice about that daily chart setup. Is it prime? Is it perfect? And I think that Tesla trade that I had, it wasn't perfect. I mean, it broke the consolidation, but it was a little bit wonky with this upper wick right here. And then technically you got a downtrend. So it wasn't like perfect to my strategy, I'll say for sure. So maybe that's a piece that I could do a better job from a discretionary standpoint that I can improve on. So that right there, guys, is my December trading. Well, this is more, but that was my December trading. So I'm happy with the numbers. I'm actually very happy with the numbers. And looking deeper into the data, we're getting some good insight. I just want to keep tracking and getting more data off of the different time frames that I'm trading on. But good news is that the way I am seeing the market, analyzing the market, and seeing my setups play out, when I trade the 5-minute chart, that's not, when I see a setup present on the 5-minute chart, that's not a bad thing at all. And the data has proven that. So day trades are certainly still in play. The weekly time frame looks pretty good. Daily time frame, maybe there's some work to be done there. With that said, hope this video was helpful to kind of get some more insight into how I view things, how I track things, all that great stuff. And again, the platform I use is TradeZella. If you want to check them out, I'll leave a link to them down below, like always, in all of these trade recaps or monthly recap videos that we post. Thanks so much, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.